And good evening, everybody. It's your boy G, and as you can see, I've got my my face cam back. Somehow managed to get my webcam working, so that's a little bit of a treat for the final round here, coming into the Season 3 Grand Finale at Spa. And I've got a little special guest, of course, joined again, this time by Alan. Alan, good to have you back.
Thanks, George. Thanks to be back. Good to be back. I had a good time with you last week, covering the Raceface event. So yeah, thanks for inviting me back, and hopefully we'll have a good race and good stream this evening.
Yeah, I mean, it's not one for the title this time round. We already know that Jordan Sherritt has walked away with the championship title, but Darren King and Morgan McCall, second and third, separated by a point. So for them, it's all about who can get onto the next part of the podium. So as we wait for the servers to go live, I'm going to try and jump into them. And Alan, just let me know on your side if you see the servers have gone live.
Yeah, I'm in and I'm up. I'm on already.
Okay, so you're in. I'm going to go in. They all have the name Test in them, so they've confused me this time around.
All right, got you.
But we're all good, and we're jumping into the session. So as soon as we see everything is up and running, we should be good to go. So, of course, Season 3 proudly brought to you by Resource Complete and Black Ribbon Simulations. A big shout out to them, and thanks for partnering up and making this all possible. So let's jump over to the race session as it goes. Oh, I jumped a little bit too early, actually. I needed to get all my other little bits and pieces up and running first before we did actually jump over. So we still just gonna look at my somewhat pretty face. I'm just gonna rate it. We should be good to go this time around. Jumping back, and we should be heading into the qualifying session here. We need to bring up the volume of our cars so that we can get some audio coming through. And guys, just let me know if you need more or less audio. If you need more Alan, you need more George, just give us a little shout out. Alan's great at monitoring the chat, so any questions you want to ask, just feel free to chuck them out to us. And it's going to be a busy quali, Ali. And I mean, these guys are getting out and getting to business straight away. So let's try and see if we can see who's out on the circuit first. I know if we jump back to the garage, actually, I could have toggled back to the other map, but it looks like, I mean, I'm not quite sure who's going to be leading the pack out at the moment.
Possibly Darren King, I think.
It could be Darren King. I think he's out towards the front of this order in that number 138, and potentially is going to be one of our first cars to be setting that flying lap. I mean, these are Peters as well.
Yeah, he's just ahead of him, so I think he was first out, to be honest. I think he's going to clock first. Kraylin only just came out the pits now, so I think Peters will be first to get a time up, and I think he's just started his flying lap now, George.
Okay, so we're going to stick with Peters then for SRC Racing, the number 47 Lamborghini. Good to see so many Lamborghinis again in the field. A car choice that a lot kind of stayed away from in the early stages of ACC, and it's become a little bit more manageable through the recent patch developments. And good to see them out on track. Good to track along with the Lamborghini as our flying lap. I don't think we in the whole season saw an outlap coming from a Lambo, so our tour of Spa will be courtesy of Mr. Bernard Peters as he comes to the end of the Kemmel Straight down through the chicane. As you know, Alan, Spa, one of those circuits that I like to call the greatest race circuits in the world.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you. I was lucky enough to go there in 2012 to watch the GT1 24 hours with the Maserati MC12 and the Aston Martins and the DBR9s, and back when they still raced the V12s. And yeah, this track, the Ardennes Forest, the whole area of Belgium is a stunning place to go to. It lives and breathes atmosphere. The people are extremely friendly, but this is I'd say on the same page as Suzuka in Japan, arguably the best motor racing track on the planet. it's a genuine old school track. You know, there isn't huge cemented runoff areas. If you go off, you're in the traps, you're in the kitty litter, and you're going to get punished. Okay, they have added some safety areas. They've modified the bus stop a few times, but in its current form and shape, it is an excellent racing track. And Eau Rouge and Radian, we all know that corner, you know, down through the valley, up over the top of the hill. That is mind-numbingly incredible to stand next to and just watch the guys go through that whole section. As we watch Mr. Peters onto the start-finish line now, and hopefully this will be his first time lap.
If he did manage to get it round, and he will, 219.32 coming out, and immediately going to be topped out by Darren King in that Ferrari, doing a 217.9. So, I mean, quick times immediately off the bat coming out from Darren King. Peters 1.3 seconds off the pace of that, and it'll be interesting to see where the rest of the field stacks up, because T17.9s are decent laps for your first quali lap out. I mean, still with 15 minutes to go, plenty of time to find, and Jordan Sherritt, he's the man that we've seen sort of contend up with Darren King quite often in the field, and his first out lap there is only going to be good enough for a 220.2 in his Porsche. So Sherritt, yeah, potentially going to want to get some more banger laps in. Darren King already feeling pretty confident as Junior McCall and Morgan McCall slots in behind him, a 218.4 from Junior, and Morgan, his older brother, a 218.8. So the Lambos definitely out here to party. And like we said before, Morgan McCall, the man that's fighting against Darren King for that shot at maybe getting second place on the podium. So Darren King currently sits in second in the championship, and Morgan McCall in third, and separated by just a point. So really, this final round is the battle down for those lower tiers on the podium.
That it is. It's extremely close already, and yeah, look, that it's very interesting to see the Lambos up there. Although, all right, we've got our resident Darren King in the Ferrari at the top of the log at the moment, but the next 5 cars, 4 of them are Lambos, so, and the other 2 are Mercedeses. So the Porsches are known to struggle around here, and Jordan, being the quickest of the Porsches, he's languishing down in 8th behind 4 Lambos and 2 Mercs. So it's not going to be easy for any of the Porsche drivers tonight. This track is certainly more suited to the mid-engined sports cars and the big Mercedes AMG GT3.
Yeah, you know, you're not wrong. The Porsche is just such a handful to get around here, and you can see Sherritt, that front leading Porsche, and then the balance of them sort of tumbling down the order as well. Interestingly enough, Mr. Jason Webb now exiting the pits to go and get another lap in, a 218.951 coming out from the Milk E-Juice number 45. And you know, this is what we kind of wanna see down the line is where Webb can stack himself up. We know that at Monza in the wet, him and Jordan Sherritt had that collision with one another,
yes,
and that kind of put us out from seeing the fight out with the likes of our international guest Darren King. So, you know, this is where we want to see the opening lap being completely incident free from the front runners, because that's what it's going to require to bring that standard of racing up to the likes of Darren King. And I mean, King can't get anywhere in terms of closer to Sherritt. He joined later in the league. They didn't race the same number of races, but you know, coming into the next season after this will be interesting to see when everybody's stacked up and able to fight in the same number of rounds. That's where the championship battle really will develop. I mean, this season round hasn't been that sort of story. Sherritt's just run away with it up at the top. But I think that, you know, with some stronger contention coming in, perhaps for season 4, you know, that's not going to be the same case.
No, I think you're 100% correct there, George. There's going to be the tree's going to have been shaken around a little bit, and yeah, what's going to be left is literally going to be the cream of the crop. Everybody's now had a good good 7-8 races where they've managed to feel out the pros and cons of whatever the cars are that they've got. They've ironed out all their little niggles. We had a bit of power issues that caused some people not to get drives in. And yeah, so the season's done pretty much. It's a matter of looking forward now to the next season, and there's a lot of people out there that are going to want to try and hang on to or beat Sherrod as a matter of fact, and again, it's also going to depend on the tracks that are selected out of the collection that we've got to choose from. That's also going to dictate, what cars perform better on the different tracks, George.
Absolutely. I mean, Kieran Patterson here is finding something more in his Porsche. He was up 6/10 coming into sort of the second sector. He's dropped off a little bit, but 4/10 up in his lap time here is going to better himself up to 5th place. 7/10 off Darren King's time, and just behind the other Porsche of Jan Spammers here, who is 7/10 off King with that 218.735 for the BWR Scorpions number 30 Porsche. So, it isn't to say that these Porsches aren't being favored, but Spammers and Patterson getting it done right. Sherrod still struggling down in 14th place at the moment. Is he going to get himself up the order? We're going to have to wait and see, because at the moment he doesn't seem to be up on any lap time.
No.
He's got 9 minutes left of quali, and definitely struggling a little bit out on the circuits. And I mean, that's a story to follow. I mean, this is our championship leader. He's been absolutely dominant throughout the season. And here at Spa in the final round, finds himself in 15th place. So going to be interesting to see where he goes. Does manage to find an extra 2/10 before coming down into Bruxelles. And for me and many other people, this is just one of those awful corners off camber and to the right. It just can throw you off if you get the line wrong. And No Name can also be punishing. It's got some runoff that makes you feel like you can go a little bit wider, but can invalidate your lap instantaneously, or just kick out the back end, as we saw Sherrod struggling to get through. Puan, the tight, fast double right-hander, is where Sherrod is going to find time in this lap either. So again, tracking along with Sherrod, he's not finding time up here, and man who is Bernard Peters, who we followed early on in the quali session, finds himself down in 12th, has done a 219.32 and 5/10 up now. This is going to get him well up the order if he can stick it through. Does lose a little bit through, but up into 5th place, splits up the Porsches between Spammers and Patterson, and does a lovely 218.7. So the times here are definitely coming in and starting to party up, as we see King's 217.679 now be the quickest lap of the session. I was going to just comment on everybody being within a second down to 6th place, and that's going to change things up. It's only the McCall brothers that managed to hold on to that second split, and Jan Spammers down in 4th place, 1.05 seconds now off Darren King's time. So the Ferrari flying here, Alan.
Definitely. I was watching Jason Webb. He went through a Rouge over the top of Radian, and the Mercedes just dived to the right. He hit the barriers flat out, but he was a little bit up on his delta. Sherrod has got issues with the setup of the car, and he's not happy about something, because he's been in and out of the pits about 3 times in this qualifying session, and if he is going to do something, it's going to be last minute blast for him, because he is seriously. Yeah, I mean, he's 2.3 seconds down on the leaders and sitting in 16th place. So the numbers don't lie. He's not happy there.
Do you think, I mean, that perhaps Sherrod is, knowing that the championship is up there, hasn't had much time to battle through the order, starting himself a little bit further down, driving with sort of a race setup to see what his race pace is going to be?
For an entertainment point of view, possibly, maybe let's see how exciting we can make this evening. It could be that.
I mean, no driver normally chooses to do something wrong, and like Puan there is just big Drift City, Tokyo Drift, and parks it up beautifully. A nice advert really for Raceface and Speed Labs, as we need a lovely livery painted on the side of this. Something in the works for that. I can tell you about that a little bit later on. There's some announcements coming, but not in the stream. I like to announce announcements, and then we go to Twitter, we announce more announcements there. And Mr. Morgan McCall, if he wants to take that fight up to Darren King to try and get himself second place at the end of the championship. He's going to have to get past his brother, who, that's just incredible always to me, is young Junior McCall. Such a youngster, talent in the community, picked up by a team like ATK. It's a story for me that I just love to share. And, still just doing great things. For a period, the McCalls weren't really involved a lot. They were going through some tough times in the Corona period. They were sick and recovering and all of that period. And really does feel like they're back up to that A1 grade racing. And good to always see them up towards the front of the order, whether it's the GT3s or the GT4s. Always good to see.
Yep, got you. I'm just... yep, you've just caught him now, Jan Spammers. He's up on his Delta.
I mean, this is 8/10 up on his Delta. So I mean, this is big, and this is a man that we've seen do some incredible things during the season. He never really got that. That was wide coming in.
That was very wide.
I mean, it could have been wide enough to invalidate it, but I'm not quite sure that it did. I think if we go back to his HUD, he hasn't invalidated, in fact. So we can have a little cheat peek at seeing it there. So he still keeps his 7/10 up. So has lost a tiny bit. But, I mean, with 4 minutes to go, this is a banger time to be out on. And the number 30 Porsche for BWR Scorpions looking to get himself up the order. Finds an extra 2/10 coming into bus stop. This could be an incredibly close time to the likes of Darren King. He's going to maybe slot himself right behind. He will drop 2/10 off. But 2:17.919 feels like he heard us smack talking the good old Porsches, which is not something I ever do. And Spammers here pulling out an incredible lap there to get himself onto the front row, like you mentioned, Alan.
Yep. Bernard King coming up to the last chicane onto the start-finish line, and he's 3/10 up in 5th place. Basically negotiating these last two corners, and he's going to go over the line. He's now gone 4/10 up, and he goes over the line. 5th?
Oh, Mr. Peters, Bernard Peters here.
Bernard Peters, I beg your pardon.
I mean, look at the little Lambo stack going down from 3rd to 5th, and then we got Patterson's Porsche, and then we've got Bego Hrobler's team Try Hard Racing McLaren. So good to see a 720S up here, and the number 15 here with a custom livery as well, sponsored by Resource Complete, part of our partners. And Kieran up 5/10 coming down into the bus stop, the number 123. Patterson Works Racing. This is a good time, looking like he's going to jump himself up possibly to the likes of Junior McCall. Was it an invalidated lap though that came out? Nope.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it was. I think he may have invalidated it towards the end.
Okay.
His last lap at 2:18.3, so it would have been better. It would have counted, but that must have been an invalidated lap coming out from Kieran. Everybody else that's out on the circuit at the moment doesn't look like they're showing too much in their deltas. Another Resource Complete team, Try Hard Racing Porsche, this time driven by Francis Vogel. He's up on his time. He's down in 20th place at the moment. So in these sort of waters, 3 or 4/10, that can just do you absolute wonders. And at this portion of the track, you can also just find so much time here. So Francis Vogel looking good, looking solid. Maybe jump himself up the order 2 or 3 cars if he manages to hold on to it through the rest of the sector. But I mean, the sort of mid-pack battle from 6th down to 16th place, I mean, they're all separated by less than a second. So that's also going to be some good old racing here at Spa. And your stories earlier, Alan, of going to visit the racetrack in person, I had to kind of mute my microphone to hide the bitter envy.
I'm sorry, buddy. Look, it was one of those trips. It's a bucket list, and you've got to do it. So I've got one more, which was supposed to be Le Mans. I haven't got to Le Mans, and I wanted to. In fact, we were supposed to go this year, Kieran and myself, and then this whole COVID thing happened in March. So that's put a scupper on all plans for this year, but possibly we'll consider it next year.
Well, I've been on a special slimming down diet, so I can fit into relatively small hand luggage.
You
can just carry me along. I'll entertain you. I'll tell some jokes on the plane and things. You know, it'll lighten the mood. But Darren King here, he's a man that set a pole time and then just not got back down to the pits. Really, he's still trying to do a little bit more. He doesn't want spammers to feel comfortable and too close to him, as we see all the way down to 5th place within a second of King's 217.679. And is 217.805 not going to better that? And I think the end of quali going to ring through. A lot of cars out in the pits, the likes of Jason Webb still out on the circuit. 3/10 up at the minutes as he comes down into Puan. And number 45 looking to, get a good race in. We said it before, Monza just wasn't the place that we got to see what Mr. Webb was capable of. And this time around, I would like to see what the real-life drifter and Monster-sponsored athlete is capable of. And that is always a story that I love to share, is the fact that we've got real-life drivers coming through, and not just drivers in grip racing, but something that I'm a big fan of, and that's the drifting side too. So,
Yep, I agree. I'm with you there as well. I was watching Johan Bager-Krobler, but he's just dropped off now, and he's pulled up at the end of the main straight. I just want to have a quick shout out to everybody joining us on the YouTube channel tonight. Shani ZA, Richard Herring, good evening. JC Krobler's there. Rob McCall. G-Max, you there? What are you doing there? Jan Elsa's there, good evening. Flopmeister and Aleric. How's it, guys? Thanks for joining us.
Mr. Ulti joining up there. A couple of good familiar names. Good to see everybody out there. Alan, I love the fact that you always help us. And Webb going to go and set a faster time at 218.543 and just slam it into the barriers. Just make sure the car's properly broken before start of the race, so you get a completely refreshed and revitalized Brandon Kruger. Another Lambo up on his time in 11th, will get himself up to 9th as he goes and does a 218.78. So plenty of good times here, and I'm looking forward to this. I'm really looking forward to this.
Right, so there we go. Darren King up at the sharp end of the stick, and Jordan Sherritt certainly nowhere near that, down in 18th.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely not where we expected Jordan to pull himself out to after what we've seen in the series so far. So, I mean, it's gonna be a bit of an interesting one, Alan. I think, like I said before, maybe just starting himself down the bottom of the order a little bit to get himself a bit of an interesting race. But
exactly.
Do you want me to pilot you down the?
Yeah, let's do a flyby. Go
order.
on.
Okay, I'll do it. You can do the names.
All good. So we've got Mr. King in pole with Spammers next to him in the Porsche. Second row, we've got McCall in the Lambo with Bager-Krobler in his McLaren. Third row, the other McCall, older brother, with Peters in another McLaren. Then we have Jason Webb with Kieran Patterson in his SA flag Porsche. Kruger and Lewis, Mercedes and Lambo. King in another Lambo with Albertine in an R8, one of the first R8s. Here we have Godzilla Grayling with Gerber. Then Antal in a nice BMW. Kleb in the Aston. Van Collier in another R8 with Sherritt down in 18th in his Porsche. Ottens in his Porsche. Vogel in his Porsche. Van Mansberg and Glashagen all in Porsches. That I counted five Porsches at the back of the grid.
Yeah, I mean, from 18th down to 22nd is a little bit of a Porsche Cup going down.
Yep.
And it's Spammers representing my favorite love up at the front in 30th, in the number 30. So leading up against Darren King, they are going to be pulling out for their single file formation lap before they then embark on an 80-minute race with a mandatory stop where they are going to have to change for tires. 36 degrees on track with a 26-degree ambient temperature. So it's a warm day here at Spa. No rain on the horizon as we've just gone 2:04 in the afternoon. And this will be the Raceface.Pro Season 3 final round. Round 6 at Spa. My name is George Smith and I'm joined by Alan Patterson. And of course, this is brought to you by Resource Complete and Black Ribbon Sim. Massive shout out to them for partnering up, and I know that Jordan Sherritt's going to love the pair of Sparko race gloves that he's picked up for winning the championship. So keep an eye down on that number 634 Porsche, though. Jordan Sherritt, I feel like he's done this to give us a bit of a show. He wants a bit of camera time, Alan.
I agree. I think I think the fact that he knows he's won, we know he's won, and so this is going to be a little bit of entertainment value. Going to see how good he can do coming through the field. And listen, make no mistake, the guys ahead of him, they're all just as quick. So it's certainly not going to be an easy task. But then Spa, it's a critical track. You have to nail every apex, your racing lines. I think, yeah, Sherritt's here just have a bit of fun, and I don't think there'll be. I think also in the back of his mind, there's no recourse to what could happen should something go wrong. It's just going to be an incident, but it's not going to hurt the overall results. So, yeah, look, I think we're going to be in for an entertaining evening. Let's be honest about it.
Absolutely. I think, if there was the risk of, someone having to win, get pole position, and get away with, potentially taking that championship, I don't think we would have seen the same qualifying coming out. But perhaps it's completely other edge of the coin where he just struggled entirely and couldn't get a lap in. That's a narrative
really?
that
I mean, do you
we
think
haven't.
that could he do that?
my fair thoughts is that no, that wasn't the case. But that is another narrative that possibly is out there. So I don't want to just say that he set himself down there, but it is Darren King that has been mighty impressive coming through, and of course a name that we're all familiar with out there on the international circuits, and he's definitely shown up. He's had a couple of incidents which have also then plagued him with the inability to get up towards the front of the order where he should have in certain races, and then on the other hand, the likes of Monza, where the two front contenders against him just didn't have the start that was going to be there as they collided with one another. And it was just a runaway race coming out from King. So will Spammers in that number 30 Porsche be able to hold his odds out? And what a phenomenal quali lap coming out from Spammers it was to get himself up here. So it's all about now keeping that composure on the first lap. We know how difficult Spa is as an opening lap. There's no room to make errors. And drivers have to be very cautious and open-minded towards the spatial awareness around them. That proximity meter is so important here. True. And very soon, we're going to come up into that double formation that we're so used to seeing. And it's a long double formation that they will go side by side for. As they drive all the way down the start-finish straight as well, down through La Source, and start down the dip under that start-finish flag. So
yeah.
It really is, King wants to get the launch off that he needs to be able to get across the line to hold off Spammers. Spammers wants to be able to hold that inside line that he will be granted from starting in second. So, Eau Rouge, one of those corners, right, Alan, that entry is just so difficult to see, and we'll see them starting to bunch up now.
Yeah. Look, a lot of guys, and I've noticed in some of the other races, a lot of guys take off here. They forget that the start's actually on the other straight. I see Noor Hendricks on the YouTube channel. Good evening, Noor. He's there. So just on that subject, we're missing a Bentley and we're missing the Hondas, but otherwise 2 BMWs, 2 Audis, a whole lot of Mercs, a whole lot of Porsches. The whole field's on this track tonight, except for the Bentley and the Hondas.
You're right. A nice little mixture coming out, and like you said, we could have a couple more manufacturers. Maybe season 4, some patches will benefit some of the lesser picked cars, and we'll see some drivers doing so. But double formation it is.
Here we go.
Down over the standing start grid boxes. A rolling start at 70 kilometers an hour. Darren King leads us away. Final round here at Spa, and green lights to go. Ryan Otten's been giving a drive through on the start, and straight away we'll see King go defensive. Gets that inside line defended, and what a start coming out from Morgan McCall. He's got the jump on Spammers, and there are some collisions going on down the back of the pack, and I think it is
it's Webb.
A lot of cars caught up in that order.
It was Webb. Webb started it as he got up to the top of Radian. He got caught on his right fender. He went across the track, and he's literally caught everybody from 8th place backwards.
I mean, is that a race restart worthy situation? Do you think the stewards may be restarting this up? I mean, it looks like a massive change up in the way that things have sort of rolled down. The front of the order getting away cleanly, but like you mentioned, that mid pack just getting caught up, and you can see on that mini map just the gaps in the cars coming through, and really isn't the start that we would have wanted to see coming through here. And once again, Spa claiming the victims, and we have seen these things before. It looks like Spam is running very wide through Puan. That's going to allow Junior McCall to slide on by. Now the McCall brothers are the two responsible for taking this fight all the way onto the likes of Darren King. So Darren King going to have a rear full of that Lamborghini, as it looks like they're going to pull side by side, and it is going to be McCall coming through, but King with a lovely little cutback as the likes of Morgan now trying to recover. He's actually lost out quite a lot in that move, and he's going to go side by side with his younger brother now. And the brothers roll down through. Blanchimont will be another side by side potential moment. It won't be just yet. Morgan going to peel just ahead of his younger brother, as Junior now going to be defending against Jan Spammers, who again, he had a bad exit through Puan, so he's trying to make up some positions that he lost out on. We saw that pace that he had before, and look at Kieran Patterson. He's just had a great start coming through, up into 5th place as well, kept his nose nice and tidy, and putting plenty of pressure onto the likes of Spammers in front of him.
Yeah, definitely. He's he's throwing it down the inside there. There was a gap open, but all safe. They both got round. I don't... it's definitely not going to be a restart issue. Driver's briefing said be aware of Eau Rouge and Radian. It was Webb that went over the top. I think he got tapped. I was watching the midfield. I can see he's Kurt Glashagen's gone into the pits. Jason Webb's in the pits. Bernard King, Ryan Ottens, Lewis, Jordan Sherritt. There's a pile of big names in the pits right now due to that collision.
Look at Kruger's run down through Kemmel. I mean, that Lamborghini just had it all, and he's just messed it up through the chicane. He's going to have to cut the track. And Patterson picking that inside line, managing to hold it off, but definitely has some good downforce advantage, or lack of downforce perhaps, as the top end of that Lamborghini just flew past Patterson. It could have also just been the exit coming down through the top of Radior, as we know that can be so impactful. But for now, this mid-pack battle is, where we kind of seeing a little bit of the action. All those cars in the pits trying to repair themselves up. I mean, that's just not something that we wanted to see, and that's going to change up the order entirely. And the pit window for the mandatory stop not yet open, so nothing being served out there is going to count. And I just saw a Audi parked on the side of the road there. That looked like Richard van Kaller, and it is Richard. He's going to pull out to the pits. So a lot of retirements coming out early, and Darren King here, this is what he needs to just get that run away. Morgan McCall still in the potential fighting position, but if he doesn't start getting a move on now, he's going to lose Darren King down the line. I mean, if we look down at their lap times so far, nothing just yet indicating what's just happened. Their first lap out not going to count just for what we can use for the analysis. So when they come over the line now, this is where it's going to be important to see what King's pulling out and what McCall's pulling out. And it will be Darren King with a 218.9 and a 219.1 coming out from McCall. So a couple of tenths off the pace. And if that just continues for the next hour and 20 minutes, that's not going to be what McCall wants. So he has to get that gear up, and he has to be able to hold on to the pace limits.
Yeah, he certainly knows how to get that Ferrari around this track, does Darren King. That's... let's make no mistake about that. However, Morgan doing really well to hang on to him. That gap is under a second as they blast up the Kemmel Straight, and Morgan looking for the slipstream, but he's a little bit too far back. The younger brother Junior 1.5 seconds further back, and Jan Spammers and Kieran Patterson in Porsches again with Etienne Kleb flying up with that slippery Lamborghini. He's got a huge amount of power and very quick straight line.
I think that's Kruger. That's Brandon Kruger
in
the number 87 Lambo. And
yes.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the straight, it just has so much. And now he's going to have the inside line for Bruxelles. Will he go side by side? No, Patterson managing to get a couple of car lengths ahead before they've got into there. Now through No Name, it's all about that exit to set themselves up for Puan. Both of them looking like they've done a good job. Just behind them, though, that is Etienne Kleb and Bernard Peters that are going to be giving themselves a bit of a fight. We know that Etienne Kleb was meant to have a custom livery for tonight's race. For whatever reason, it wasn't working again in this session. So we're going to have a little look-see into why those aren't working. But Bernard Peters from SRC, we saw him in the quali session up into 8th place, benefiting quite heavily from that first lap incident. And again, we see people in the chat here, QQ, Mr. Ian McKenzie, calling for a restart in here. That's not our decision. We aren't the stewards involved. And, it didn't seem like there was the entire grid impacted. I do see cars sitting in the pits that have obviously retired from it. Yeah. So, I mean, it did catch a couple of people out.
There's a couple of... I'm afraid to say, I think it was Johan Bega Krobler who contacted Jason Webb. I've looked back at your replay, and the McLaren is in the back of the Mercedes going across the top of a Radian, and that's where the whole drama started. But yeah, we've got Bernard King, who's our Jordan Sherritt's in the pits, Richard van Collier, Jason Webb, Ryan Ottens. There's a bunch of them, and they're just not coming back out. So we've got a couple of big hitters that have called it quits in this round. But we've still got a good race on our hands here, and these guys are still trying to get as many points as they can here.
Yeah, the racing doesn't just stop when a couple of the big names have to drop themselves down. And I think Darren King's actually had a bit of an issue coming down. I mean, he's dropped down here into 9th place. Are we aware of... Did he have to serve some sort of a drive-through penalty that we
I think he's had an incident somewhere.
Oh, yeah. His Discord covered his screen, so he had to stop. So he's had to sort out a couple of in-game issues there, and that's handed things over to Morgan now. So Morgan going to take over the reins in the number 19 ATK Academy Lamborghini up at the front, and it's taken Darren King a fair while to get that sorted out, because down to 9th place he tumbles, and now that pace is going to have to really come out, and we're going to have to watch what this man can do.
Yeah, so we're going to have a drive back one way or another. Let's put it that way, George. I
mean, this is kind of the narrative that we needed to see, with King starting to run away,
exactly,
and with Sherritt dropping down. Now we need someone to fight through, and King now going to start to close down onto the likes of Paul Gaber, firstly in that Nissan GTR. Then he's got Peters and Kleb just ahead of him. So if you're going to work smartly around these other cars, a couple of easy positions for him to then begin to fight back through the order.
Well, they're saying that these the Godzilla ahead of him, the Nissan, the Porsche, and the Etienne Kleb, these guys are literally attached bumper to bumper. So it's not like it's an easy gap just to pass one car and move along. They're all. This is not going to be easy, but it's going to be great fun to see Darren King do this. Let's put it that way.
I mean, where he finds himself here, I mean, he's most certainly faster than the drivers that are around him. So
yes,
it's for him. It's about that safe passage that he wants to get through, because any sort of bump or tap coming in through making any of these moves is just gonna, end that potential to fight up with Morgan, who's now just got to keep his nose clean and tidy. He's got his brother in second to play a bit of a bocker. And look at this, down in front, Gaber and Peters are going to go side by side. Yeah. Peters in that Lamborghini going to have the inside line. A nice little view from King's splitter cam as we're going to see Godzilla go through. And the move, he has gone off indeed. And that will be one and done. Peters is going to be able to get the car back onto the circuit. But Gaber going to get through. King through, and now Kleb under attack. And before Gabber can maybe put the pressure on to the likes of Kleb, he's going to have to deal with King's pressure coming in from behind through No Name. Good run coming out from King. Is going to go side by side. Will he be able to get alongside to the entry of Puan? I don't think he's quite there. He will be later on the brakes, and that door slowly closing down, giving each other room, coming down through that fast left-hander, and side by side they still stay, and it will be that flat-out drag race. Inside line will be there for the GTR into this what is called a chicane, but it feels like an endless chicane coming down, and it looks like that GTR holding on, doing a good job. King still trying to fight back, but Gabber going to hold on for the minute. King just getting all over the back end of that GTR, putting the pressure on, and Gabber just not cracking.
No, that whole section, the whole of Sector 2, that's a handling section at Spa, and Gabber did awesomely well. And he's got no reason to move over. This is for position. So, yeah, King,
look at King.
Dropped back a little bit there.
Yeah, King did drop back a bit, and that's then allowed Francis Vogel to now start to have a little look, as Vogel now going to be hanging on to the back end of the number 138 down the start-finish straight, and across the line they go. So King struggling a little bit here in the middle of the pack. We did predict that it's a difficult place for him to kind of find himself. He does have the pace, but you know, one place that you have to back out, and that means that you've then opened yourself up to potential from behind. So at the minute,
George, he definitely, sorry man, he had to lift because he was in extremely dirty air coming up the hill there towards the bus stop, and I think he got a lot of washout on that Ferrari and decided you know, he's going to have another go at it and build up his pace, take another a couple of laps and get himself in a better position there. I've been watching, sorry, again, Morgan McCall. He has literally, he drove an entire lap now behind, who is this? Bernard King in the other Lamborghini as he was being lapped. So that's kind of slowed Junior McCall down a little bit, at least Morgan McCall at the front of the grid, with his younger brother. That gap is two seconds now between the two brothers.
Yeah, and they now also need to just kind of understand that for them to, if they finish up towards the front of the order here, this wraps up another driver championship for ATK. So they would have won the GT4 driver championship as well as Morgan winning the driver's side. Sorry, the team winnings went to ATK, and the driver winnings also went to ATK with Morgan coming through. So in this GT3 championship at the moment, it's ATK versus GTWR in the Raceface Speed Labs car. So with Jordan down, not racing in this anymore after that incident, it's pretty much just up to ATK to get these solid finishes up towards the end. And if Morgan finishes first here ahead of Darren King, beats him by more than a point, and he's going to come in second for the GT3 side of things. So a good showing for the McCalls.
Excellent. Yeah, the boys are doing well. That's definitely. Byron Walker in the YouTube channel, he crashed and a rage quit. So I'm not sure, was he in this race or was he in one of the other races?
Mr. Walker is a quick driver. I'm not quite sure if he was driving in Pro tier, but maybe one of the other tiers as well. But shout out to Byron for coming out and joining the stream afterwards anyway.
Welcome,
good to have
Byron.
you here. Yeah, yep. We welcome rage quitters because you can come and join us and enjoy the racing from a different perspective. Kieran Patterson, he's got a bit of a show on his hands. He's still holding off Brandon Kruger in that Lamborghini, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be for long.
Yeah, he's doing well for a change. We've had a stern little chat, and he seems to be doing a lot better. So hopefully he can maintain his focus throughout this through the race, and he should be able to deal with this pressure. He's happy with how the Porsche's handling. His setup is good. I'll tell you what, Junior is catching his big brother. It's that gap from 2 is down to 1 second now. and yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, Patterson definitely having a better race for sure, and I'm glad to see that the crew chief and race engineers has given him the talking to. We happen to have him here with us in the comms box as well. So
yes, we do.
Of course, Kieran's dad, Alan, my co-caster this evening, and he joined me last week at Monza 2. He was actually the broadcaster of the race, as I had that infamous load shedding and wasn't able to bring it, but we were able to do comms, and it was a big success. So
Awesome.
This time around, also a big success coming out from Kieran's first start to the race, and that's what I want to see coming out from him. He's definitely a talented driver. I've said this time and time again. I'm not just saying it to suck up because his dad's here. Alan knows that when there's nonsense, I call out the nonsense, and when there's great driving, I call out the great driving. So far, a good showing from Kieran. Got himself up into fourth. There's still the pit stops to do. And, of course, the strategy involved with who's going to go in early, who's going to go a little bit later. And we've really seen the undercuts being quite a star of the show. So I'm keen to see who's going to be dancing out early. I see Grayling down in 17th has jumped into the pits. I think he was involved in some of the earlier incidents as well, perhaps, though. So that might not be one of the undercuts to watch out for. But anyway, in the sort of mid-pack, I'm keen to see where things shift up. Darren King down in 7th. He's still not really able to do too much. He has managed to get past the GTR. Now he will be able to get past Kleb as well, potentially. Down Kemmel, they'll go side by side. Ferrari versus the Aston Martin. The white Aston Martin and Kleb going to have the inside line for the entry, but King will then have the inside line for the next portion of the corner. So it will be a nice solid overtake coming out from the Fordzilla number 138. King progresses up into 6th place, and now we'll start to try and hunt down the likes of Kruger. But that Discord error just really caused a massive drop down in King's position. I mean, he dropped down to 9th. He's made his way up to 6th, but quite a way off the likes of Morgan McCall, who he's fighting with in the championship. I see in the Discord chat we do have Jason Webb. He's appeared.
Yes,
and perhaps Jason can type to us a little bit about what happened in the mid start of that race. And we weren't able to go back and see too much. I mean, Alan, you've jumped back a little bit into the replay, but again, we aren't the stewards that are in control of being able to get these things restarted. So for us, it's just been a race that we've broadcasted. Anything that you guys have to add, some insight, we always appreciate it. We love the comments, and we appreciate you guys being here this evening.
Sorry, I'm watching Junior, and he was catching up to the back of, not Johannes Krayling, Brian Lewis, who's now sitting on the side of the track just before the bus stop. He had a huge moment coming through there, and he's still sitting there. He hasn't moved. So there you can actually see him as we went past on Kleb's car. But
so another perhaps potential retirement coming out there. We've seen Lewis's pace also being incredibly good in the wets at Monza, and this time around just not really having the race that he needed to have. Kleb feeling that pressure from Gabba coming through the inside line of La Source, but it's not going to be the drive that he needed. Kleb will still hold down, but they are going to be really close coming down into Eau Rouge once again. We'll jump onto that rear-facing cam from Kleb, as we'll see that GTR go wild on the exit of Radion, out through Kemmel and onto the Kemmel straight. It's not quite the toe that the GTR would have wanted, and this is not going to be close enough for him to get alongside. So Kleb once again will hold off to the end of the top end straights, and looks like a lonely BMW starting to enter in here from the likes of Mark Ansel. That number 111 starting to love the fact that Kleb and Gabba are fighting it out for position, and he's going to take up those tenths where he can.
He is. It's great to see a BM. There's two in this race. I'm a big fan of them, and I'm enjoying seeing them in the races. I see Jordan Sherritt's also just joined us on the chat, George. So sorry about that, Jordan. That was a bummer, that one. Floyd the Barber 71. How's it? Brian Lewis.
Oh, Mr. Zahir Essa has joined us. Mr. Floyd the Barber is his alter ego.
His alter ego.
Good to see you, Yazzie. Good to see you here as well, Jordan. Guys, good to see everybody out here. Brian Lewis in the chat. Guys, we appreciate you all being here. Right now, it's definitely
we've had a change, George. Sorry,
me.
my man. Jan Spammers has gone from 3rd. He's down to 5th. Kieran is up into 3rd. Brandon's also gone up into 4th. And Jan has dropped down into 5th.
Well, look at Spammers' Porsche. I mean, that has definitely been into the body shop and come out with a little bit of extra damage that you didn't pay for. And the number 30 for the BWR Scorpions, not going to be loving that fact. 60 minutes still to go, really, for these guys to drive out. And the pit window is open, so Spammers might take that gamble. Plenty of time on the track to make up if your car's horribly damaged and you're losing time. And you know how much that downforce in this Porsche means. So, it could be a dangerous situation.
Yeah, I'm not too sure actually what happened there. He must have just gone wide on one of the corners. But it goes to show with both Kieran and Brandon, focusing heavily on their races. They jumped at the opportunity, and they're 3rd and 4th right now. As we go on board with Mr. Gerber flying up the Camel Straight, looking at Etienne Kleb. Piles on the brakes. The big Nissan trying hard to catch up with the V8 Aston, but it's an equalizer, this track, really. I don't think it favors any one manufacturer too much, but it's certainly a driver's track. All of the guys must be enjoying themselves out there.
I mean, Etienne Kleb getting a little bit loose out there, coming down through No Name now, and this is where Gerber wants to put that pressure on. He wants to force Kleb into making those mistakes, and if he can, these are those positions that he's going to benefit off. So Puan, right up in the back end of that Aston Martin is the GTR, and the Resource Complete team. Try Hard Racing number 51 is definitely losing out time. He's knows that he can potentially get faster, and Kleb, a little bit of a cork in that champagne bottle now, which contains the likes of Ansel in that 111 as well. So he's entered into this, and the Retro Sim Slipstream 111 will start to dance out with the likes of the Aston Martin and the GTR.
Yeah, that big BM is caught up to the back of these guys. This has now become a three-way battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th. Loving the BMW. I'm just a big fan of that car. And he's all over the back of this Nissan. He's throwing it down the inside. They're 3 abreast as they come into the bus stop. Oh, good brakes, everybody. No contact. Excellent respect for everybody on the track. And out they come back over the start-finish line. We got a Porsche in the pits. Jan Spammers is in the pits now. So he has taken heed of your suggestions. Clearly there was a bit of damage to that car, and he's brought it in for an early-ish pit stop to fix that damage and to do his usual refuel and tire change if he's doing that.
Yeah, I think potentially is going to take that. I mean, still a lot of time out here, and he's losing a lot of time. So I think going to duck into the pits is Spammers and try and see if he can make use of that pit stop, get back on the track, and he is a quick driver. So if he can make his way through in the clean air with a better car, I don't think it's a bad move at this stage. It's always, you have to make it quite early on. If you just drive with a damaged car, you bleed the time and then you waste it repairing it later on. That's also a bit of a situation, but it's all about analyzing it. If it's less than a second a lap, then potentially you're not going to look at it. But if it's more than that and you've got a lot of time to make up, it's all about that situational awareness. And I think that's what I love about sim racing. You have to permanently make decisions all the time, little calculations, permanent management of things. And it's all about that whilst having these kind of fights out on the circuit. And it really has been a little fight out here. Up at the front of the order, McCall leads on McCall, and that gap has just increased up to 1.7 seconds. So a solid race coming out from Morgan. But the likes of Kleb, Gerber, and what was Ansel for a little bit before they decided into that bus stop situation that you can't go 3 wide into bus stop. He's now trying to close back onto this, but it's really Gerber that's just not letting go and not easing off the pressure at all. Kleb, a captain of defending, we've seen him do a good job in races before, and this is a driver that I've followed for a long time. from previous race seasons in different leagues. He's gone very wide on the exit now, and that's going to allow Gerber to get alongside Kleb. And again, this is going to be an interesting place. I think the GTR has got the run, and he has Waltuck just in front of him before Blanchimore. And over the curb, the GTR goes, gets sent to a wide. Antle, he wants to get in this as well. That BMW wants to go alongside, will go alongside. Will he get late onto the brakes? He's not there again.
Wow.
Good work from Antle not to go in for a dive. Hard there into Kleb. And once again, the BMW remains patient and just seats himself back in. But brilliant work coming out from Mr. Paul Gerber to eventually get what was a move sort of building itself up after what felt like 10 laps. He's done it now, and he can start to chase down the likes of Darren King, who is up into 5th place, of course. Pit stops haven't been served by a lot of the front runners down to from 1st to 12th. So 43 minutes for them to still serve that in terms of the pit window remaining open. But Darren King definitely wanting to lead the charge up towards catching McCall, because Mr. Morgan is competitor for that second spot on the podium. Currently belongs to King. They're separated by a point, and a win here for Morgan, with King finishing less than a point below that, will mean that he's going to have to eat up 3rd place as Darren King. So Morgan McCall here just needs to do what he needs to do. We've mentioned it before, the ATK youngsters have just really found another gear in their driving. It's always great to see.
You know what just struck me when you said the youngsters? 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place are all under 25 years of age on the track, or 25 and under. So it's the youngsters out there tonight. That's for definite. Jordan on the YouTube channel, he had an incident for sure. Brian Lewis is also there. Guys are talking about what was happening, but he said his car felt buggy in quali, and it seemed like there was zero grip. So, jeez.
I liked Zahir's answer to that. A Porsche feeling like it has no grip at Spa is just welcome to the Porsche at Spa. Yeah. And it is just such a monster to pilot around. Like you said, those rear engine cars weren't gonna be easy to get around, and I think Patterson doing a great job in his number 1, 2, 3 up in 3rd place at the moment to just keep that consistency up there. That's what it's all about. One small off and one big mistake, and you give yourself some active error, like Brandon Kruger's running on the front end of his Lamborghini, and he's going to go into the pits. He is in the pits, and I think that's going to be a damage repair pit stop as well. I don't think it's just going to be a splash and dash. And Junior McCall, he's now quite a way off of Kieran Patterson, so it's going to be interesting to see what Patterson can do if he can just chase down into the gap of Junior. He's got a lot of open air now, and this is where he really needs to just put his head down. He does have the potential to catch up. He's going 2/10 quicker lap after lap, so the ability to then close that down still there with the room remaining in the race.
True. We've also got Kurt Glashagen back in the pits. So I think this is his normal pit stop now. His earlier pit stop was a little bit of damage repair and maintenance. Kurt down in 13th. We've got 17 drivers left after a start of 20. I think it was 23. So a bit of attrition here tonight, but still good race going on. Some good dices happening. The gap between the McCall brothers now out to 2.7 seconds, but I think a lot of traffic played into that as well. Morgan got through it a lot quicker than Junior. So, but it's not over. There's still 50 minutes left. There's still a whole pit stop cycle to go. And let's see how this pans out.
Yeah, the pit stops can make or break things as well. If you have an issue that you make, that can completely change up the way that your race pans out. So with a lot of the top 10 here still needing to serve that, it's going to be interesting to just kind of see where their pit stops put them out. But yeah, in terms of on-track battles now, it means that there's no real close contenders to things, and the likes of Darren King, he's not really making that progress that he needs to make here. He's lapping a good 6/10 quicker, it looks like, to Kieran Patterson based on the last lap itself. Let's see what he does here as he crosses over the line. We'll go and do a 2:19.365.
He's still got good pace.
He does indeed still have good pace. And it's 4/10 quicker than what Patterson did on his previous 13th lap or 12th lap. So, you know, that could certainly get there. 6 seconds to go up the road for King to get up to Patterson. There's certainly a battle that's potentially going to come out. And everything here just relies on drivers keeping their positions, right? So if anyone makes a mistake, that's going to open up those abilities for us to find on-track battles again. So as far as the drivers are concerned, they want things to stay like this. They don't want to be caught out having battles at this stage because they've all kind of settled into their positions and they want to get all the points that they can.
Yep. I mean, look, that's what happened with Mr. Spammers. He was cruising around quite comfortably in 3rd, and the next thing we saw him, he was in 6th. So you drop your focus or concentration, or you here we have it.
Junior just doing this.
Exactly.
Just doing this. Kieran going through. And that's exactly what we are talking about. We're going to try to get a replay with the custom liveries. Get a little bit of free screen freeze. But we're okay with that because we need to see what's happened here. And let's see if we can jump onto the Helicam. So Ruxel seemed okay. It looks like it was Puan, really. So No Name also okay.
Yeah, it's down to
and
Puan.
You can see, you can see Kieran getting close to him. And
I think he was watching his mirrors.
Oh, he throws it in. Oh, it just follows it round. Just follows it round. And that's the change up for second place that Kieran Patterson needed to see. And Junior now going to be in sight of Darren King. So King now gonna feel it. He's gonna have got the motivation. He's seen that split change up. He's seen that there's Lamborghinis in front of him, 2 Lamborghinis in fact, and one of those is going to be for position. And the other is going to be held up by blue flag. So is this way he's going to be able to put Junior into a position where he can make a slingshot move through both cars?
Well, there's a big hole being made in the air for him.
Yeah, there is. The number 87 going to pull over to the side to allow them to drive through. Oh, right onto the back end. Down into the hairpin is Darren King. Trying to find a way past Junior McCall now, especially whilst he's still rattled up, right? That's where you want to pounce. Exactly. That's where you want to take control of their vulnerabilities. Know that they're in their own heads and that you just need to keep that run going down. And this is a good drive coming out from Junior as well. He's going to have to really, really defend well against Mr. King. And this is going to test him to his limits here at Spa for sure.
Sure, big turnaround with just on 45 minutes. So these guys are about to go into the pits. Pretty much going to be on their pit window. Looking in the YouTube channel, Darren Peens, good evening, welcome. TK Raptor also there. But yeah, this is all on. This is all happening for 3rd place right now. King is looking at the back of Junior's Lambo. Kieran up the road by 13.5 seconds. And
did you see how tentative Junior was coming into Puan? He almost caught Darren King out entirely by the way that he entered into that. And King is just putting on so much pressure here. Junior really is starting to feel, and like he said, starting to watch the mirrors is something that you have to be careful of in sim racing. It can just throw you off entirely. I like to just disable it and just pretend like no one else is on the racetrack. But Darren King here definitely pushing young Junior all the way. As this is the kind of racing we wanted to see. 35 minutes still remain of that pit window being open. So 45 minutes of the race. A good sort of position for King to kind of get past McCall, or then decide to go into the pits ahead of McCall. So if he's going to get held up by McCall, and Junior going to be the one to take the call, he doesn't want to feel the pressure any longer.
No.
So Junior going to peel in, serve his mandatory stop, leave Darren King out. He's going to progress up to 3rd place. And this is really the drive that he needs to do. Now Morgan needs to keep focused, needs to keep that pace up. He's dropping pretty consistent 219s, but high 219s, as we know that King potentially can drop 218s and sort of 218 mid 218s. So if that comes out from King, Morgan can also find that gear. We've seen him do relatively similar times, not exactly the same times, but you know, for now it's a good lead over Kieran Patterson. So Patterson is still between the likes of King and McCall, the guys fighting it out for second and third on the championship.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I had a little disconnect of your screen, but I was just about to say that's a clever move of Junior to go into the pits. Rather get out of the heat of the moment, go and take a breath, get the car fixed, you know, settle down. That race is going to come back to him depending on how long Darren King's in the pits for, and you know, if he gets held up by any people. So there is rolling, as we see. He's got to go through the second stage of the Spa pit down the hill.
Oh, the Twitter pit stop that just never ends here at Spa. You know, it's part of your lap time and your experience. And when you get given a drive-through penalty here, it is honestly the most demoralizing thing. It's almost where you just take away your own electricity and go to bed. But we see McCall continuing down here, and I like the fact that he jumped into the pits. I think he was struggling there a little bit. I don't think he had to do any repairs to the car, right? I think it was just like a mandatory pit stop coming down. I think after his little spin that we saw, at least through P1, it was just kind of on the apex, big sort of rear wheels trying to overtake the front, and just kind of came round. So a new set of tires potentially just going out there for McCall, and he'll be out there to, you know, lead out the guys that have served those mandatory stops. So he will come out ahead of the likes of Jan Spammers, who of course went into the pits a little bit earlier on, but that was because he was pretty badly damaged in that Scorpions Porsche. Remember how bad the front end was looking. So I think that Spammers having to go into the pits did have to repair some of the damage. Let's go and see his car. Actually, we'll be able to see if he has. It looks all mended up. So this man potentially can throw a bit of an upset into the likes. You see his quickest time that he's done so far on circuit is a 218.987. I mean, Morgan McCall's quickest time is a 218.990, and Spammers is down in 11th, and Morgan leads things away. So Darren King's quickest time is a 218.6. So Spammers really does have something special in this Porsche that he can pull out, and he needs to really see if he can find that specialness again in the closing phase of this race.
Yeah, look, he's in the middle of it, and he's trying hard. His last lap at 220, but the guys ahead of him are doing 219. So he might still be having a little bit of an issue, or his tires are on their way already. Who knows? But he's going to look. He's in 11th, and he's the pit stops are all out the way. So let's see where he gets to. Right now we've got 3 in. Arno van Mansberg, Mark Antel, and Paul Gerber have all gone in. So 6th, 7th, and 8th are all in the pits right now. Junior McCall's going to be coming past them from 9th, so he'll move up to a net 6th place. And we'll see what happens from there. I see Morgan's gone through for another lap. So Morgan now at 41 minutes. Kieran also, I beg your pardon, coming up to the bus stop. Morgan now coming through the last chicane, and there he heads into the pit lane now. So Morgan on the button at 40 minutes, time for pits. Let's see if Kieran follows him. Kieran's coming through the last chicane now, and he's going on for one more lap. So Kieran's running longer on his first stint. Darren King coming through the chicane and also staying out, and that gap is just over 1 second between Darren King in third now and Kieran. They're probably going to be pitting in the next lap or two, if you ask me.
I mean, it's now where that undercut has been taken away. You can't go and undercut the leaders. They've gone in to serve the pit stop. So do you now just jump in a lap later and kind of settle back into the same position that you would have been in, following them into the pits on the lap before, or you now extended a couple of laps longer? So I'm keen to see what that gamble comes out to be between the drivers like Patterson and King, who are electing to stay out. And they could have obviously chosen to go into the pits the lap before, ahead of the likes of McCall. But I really liked the fact that when Junior had gone in, it kind of set that potential narrative to see where he would come out relative to King. And I think this does continue with that storyline, because now it's sort of Junior went in a lot earlier. King's gone a little bit longer than the race leaders were going before. So we get to see the extremities.
Exactly. Look, I'm just watching the brothers now. Morgan is now rolling through the second phase of the pits, and Junior is on his way up towards the bus stop, although he had spun out just before that whole pit story. So he had lost it. He was 12 or 13 seconds back. We're going to kind of get a good idea of where Morgan comes out of the pits, and he's down at the bottom now. So he's going through the Eau Rouge part of the pit lane, up onto Radian, and Junior is going over the start-finish line. So that gap is probably a good 15 to 20 seconds. Junior's kind of the same distance further back. So it's now about seeing Kieran Patterson and Darren King's pit stops. Etienne Kleb, we know, is pitted. Did Vogel pit? George, I can't remember.
Vogel hasn't gone into the pits, but Vogel started very far down the line. So for him to be up into fourth is probably a lot of the positions gained early on from some of the incidents coming through, and then has kind of settled himself. I might again be going for that extreme overcut situation. Patterson stays out, King stays out. So these two definitely not wanting to just dive into the pits and come right out behind the likes of Morgan, guaranteed, so they're trying to see, can we make use of some of this open air, and they've got just that.
Exactly.
King not quite benefiting as much as Kieran doing a lap time that was 1.5 tenths quicker than what King did through. And in these situations, it's all those tenths that really count. It's not the big seconds out towards the front of these guys, and it really does just count for those tenths.
And it's about how you get through the traffic as well. I mean, they're looking for those holes. They're trying to not end up, behind a relatively quicker driver. It takes a while before you can actually, on Spa, to make a decent pass, because bar turn one, everything is a pretty much high speed kind of a sweeping corner. It's not, and I beg your pardon, the bus stop where you can throw it down the inside and just give it a good send. Otherwise, it's a difficult track to get past under normal racing conditions. So these guys are looking for clean air, and they're looking for no traffic. Kieran coming up to 2 people now as he goes through the chicane through sector 2, and down at the bottom of the circuit now going to start coming up the hill. He's got to seriously consider now possibly coming into the pits soon, so that he doesn't get held up by the guys that he's catching.
I mean, that's also it, right? I mean, he will be able to see the drivers ahead that he's catching up to, and I believe that they are on track for position, or they're not for position, because I don't really see a timing difference. I think it's Kleb and Antle, but I think that Antle's. Is this? No, this is not them, hey?
No. There, Kieran's in the pit lane now. These guys are at the bottom of the track.
In, correct.
Okay, so it's...
It will be Kleb and Ansel to come past him. Yeah, correct. But Kieran going to jump into the pits, and King going to follow him into the pits as well. So 25 minutes left of the pit window remain. Kleb still stays out. Vogel stays out. Peter's down in 15th, also still staying out, and going a little bit longer in the situation. So let's see where Darren King comes out relative to the likes of Junior McCall, because I mean, Junior was the one feeling the pressure from King coming down.
Etienne's in
before he made the call. Okay, so Gleb's gone in, Vogel's gone in, and potentially, I mean, I don't want to curse it, but Peters might have seen everybody's gone in. He doesn't want to. He feels like everyone else has had some insight. But before the pit window, it's 20 minutes remaining, guys. So he might also be jumping in. But let's see where Junior is going to get himself out. I mean, he's still got quite a lot of the third sector to complete.
It's Morgan. Morgan's on his way up the back straight. He's coming to the chicane now before the start-finish line. So he's the person that we've got to watch. Kieran's rolling down the back end of the pit lane. So this is going to be close. Kieran coming out ahead of Morgan. Morgan's now onto the start-finish line.
Oh, no. I don't think that Kieran's still got half this pit lane to do. I think that Morgan's going to get the rundown through the top of Kemmel.
Exactly,
but could potentially be. I mean, you're right. He's coming down towards the exit here.
Yeah. I think
Morgan
will
going
go
through
past.
the source. I think he will go past, but it will be pretty close coming out. Kieran isn't going to get up to speed, and Morgan will go past. Then Junior, obviously, against Darren King. I mean, we want to see where they stack up against one another. Where's Junior coming
just
down?
Gone over the start-finish line now.
And King is rolling out
at the
through
end of the pit lane.
He is. So, potentially, King staying out a little bit longer, has got past.
Agreed.
I think he has. I don't think the run is going to be there for the end of Kemmel. I think Darren King will get up to speed towards the end, and good little move coming out from Darren to stay out a little bit longer there. It's worked out in his favor. Kieran Patterson, loving that second place at the moment. I'm sure is crew chief and dad, my fellow co-caster, going to be loving the fact that Kieran's managing to hold on to a great position at the moment. He's had a great race so far. Not to bring any curses to the table, but he's had a good race.
No, he's had a good race. Besides, we're all touching wood right now, but he's managed to keep his nose clean, and he's focused, and hopefully he can hold on to this position. King's certainly going to charge. There's still 30 minutes to go, but it's a good all-round result wherever he is going to finish. Good to see him actually get something done properly this time.
I mean, everybody's gone in and had to change up their tire sets, so they've got a brand new set of rubbers to go and burn some of these lap times in. So it really is up to them now to make the most of it. The track's dipped down a little bit in temperature, down to 34 degrees. So a little bit hotter than the basic optimal operating temperature that a lot of people like to set their cars up to. So all about just managing that last tire set, making sure that you get those consistent lap times in, and of course don't find yourself into a barrier or something like that, because that then after driving for 80 minutes and losing the race there, that is just the definition of pure frustration.
It is. That's just a ruining moment, really. That's terrible. I've got to just make a quick shout out here to Mark Antle in the Awesomeness BMW, who is now in 6th place behind Mr. Herbe in the Godzilla Nissan. So a really good mix of cars in the top seven positions is 6 different manufacturers. So the race has produced some awesome mixing and matching going on here.
It has, and it's not an order that if you told me to pick my predictions for the top 10, I would have been able to. I don't think I would have been able to get. Yeah, I don't think I would have been able to get most of these cars. I would have expected a complete change up. But of course, the grid didn't have the greatest of starts here this evening, and that must be mentioned because that changed the way that all the racing happened out on the circuit.
It did. Yeah,
and what we have to race with is what we have to race with, and the drivers that remained on the circuit have definitely given us the race that we wanted to see coming in. And it's been sort of controversy because Darren King was leading the race. He had a technical difficulty which stopped him from seeing his POV, so he had to go and sort that out. Bled positions down, and then came back through. Junior McCall was having a lovely, clean and consistent race and suddenly found himself spinning it on camera just as we were talking about the consistency needing to come out. And that's kind of put him down in the order. And through all of these little mistakes and mishaps, it's just been the likes of McCall and Patterson to just up at the front. Morgan McCall, should I say, and Kieran Patterson. Just keeping it cool, calm and collected and collecting up every benefit that they could, and that's all about what sim racing is in these endurance races, is
100%.
you can get it to the line without having all the issues, or getting it to the line with the least number of issues, and still having the pace on the circuit. So, you know, you can't be too tentative. You can't just bleed out positions. Still have to be able to push the car to the limits. And for me, that's been impressive from the Porsche. A bit of a Porsche biased fanboy, as a lot of people know. But it's definitely not my favorite car at the circuit. So Kieran doing a great job here. Darren King, he's definitely got some ability here to catch up to Kieran and make things interesting. He's just done a 2:18.243, biggest lap of the race. So the new tires and slightly dip in temperature definitely benefiting the Fordzilla driver.
Yeah. Yep.
And Dolking, really a man that can operate under pressure and has done so often. If you are a follower of what he does, obviously a well-known international name in the sim racing community, and good to have him racing with us here in our local leagues. And for the minutes, his lap time here, I mean, Kieran did a 2:19.2. Almost a second slower than what King's done. Yep. And King will potentially be spotting these things out as well, as he sees the driver split times come up as they cross the line. And that gap then is just what we want to keep watching. That 6.5 second gap between them. We want to see if it closes, opens up. That gives us a little bit of intel to see. 28 minutes left on the clock.
All good, no problem. Just on that same subject that George was mentioning now, if I look at our in-depth timing systems here, I can tell you guys watching, first to fourth, so Morgan McCall, Kieran Patterson, Darren King and Junior McCall, their last laps were sub 220s. They were 219s and faster. Paul Gerber and everybody else is 220s and 21s. No one else is under 220s. So the current top 4 drivers are doing their last lap. Every lap is a 219, with Darren doing 218s. So nailing the braking points and the apexes and doing really quick lap times each lap, and that's how why these guys are up at the sharp end of the stick. I cannot change the camera, unfortunately, because George is running camera tonight, but we're following Darren King around the track, and he just did another 2:18.5. Kieran doing a 2:19.2, Junior 2:19.4, and Morgan in first with a 2:19.5. So Darren King clearly the quickest out of the 4, doing 2:18s consecutively. Further back, Paul Gerber in 5th place in the Big Godzilla is performing excellently, holding on to a clean 5th place. He's having a lonely drive. He's got big gaps in front and behind him. His last lap at 2:20.1. So literally on the bubble of 2:19s, pushing hard. Mark Antle in 6th place in the big BMW, 2:21.5. So he struggled on that lap, but 26 minutes to go, and it's all to play for in the top 3 positions. And anybody makes a mistake there, Junior's going to also jump on them.
Absolutely. I mean, King here is just crunching those numbers like you were mentioning. I think that's where it all comes down to, is who can find the pace right at the end here. 5.8 second gap now between Patterson and King. So he's nudging it slowly and getting into that rhythm now. And that really is going to be all for him to do. And once he gets to Patterson, though, he still has 8 seconds up the road to McCall. So it's not going to be an easy fight in 25 minutes for King to get himself up to potentially challenge Morgan for that second position spot in the championship. But that's kind of the narrative that we're seeing here at the moment. That's kind of the story that's panning out. That's the storyline really to follow, as we see the timing board update. 5.4 seconds now. So he's most certainly just etching into it and finding the pace where he needs to do it. And This lap here, just a tenth slower than what he did previously, so it should be a 2:18.6 coming down, and he will cross the line with a 2:18.663.
And so he's
another
just done
one.
5 laps in a row.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we talk about, consistency, right? And Mr. Consistency and Mr. Pace coming out, and that's the pace that he needs with both Morgan and Kieran. Like you said, still not able to dip into the 2:18s at this stage. Sort of mid-level 2:19s. So that is definitely Darren King's motive at the moment. You know that he has picked that up on the timing sheet. He can see that the drivers ahead of him are losing out time. And, you know, just as we say that, we start to see them on the little mini-map at the top right. We start to see the drivers in that show. So just under 5 seconds now between King and Patterson. This is really starting to heat up between the two.
I'm just watching Jan Spammers down in 9th, who's now caught up to the back of Vocal. So these two in the Porsche, the gap sub 1 second now as they go through turn 1 and head down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radiant. This is the closest real race per se on the track at the moment. And even though this is 8th, 9th position, these guys are going flat sticks to try and pass each other. Focal doing a 2:20.5 and Jan Spammers a 2:20.9, but having the dice of their lives here, and they've been going around the track like this for the last 10 minutes. So racing all the way down the grid down to 14th position.
That's what we want to see when we pull out the pro splits and these drivers all through the pack. We kind of saw it in the qualifying that we had almost 10 drivers separated by less than a second in that mid-pack, and it wasn't really the story the story wasn't able to unfold because a lot of them got caught up in that early lap incident. But
exactly.
it has created some other narratives, and the likes of Patterson now trying to defend against King is sort of onset from all of that. King got away cleanly at the start, had some plaguing issues that got into this position. And right now, in the background of Kieran Patterson's shot as he comes down at the start-finish straight, we do see the lurking 138 Ferrari of Darren King for Fordzilla. So that gap closing down. This is, again, a 2:18.8 coming out from King. So he's still staying in the 2:18s. He's dipping a little bit away from his standard deviation that he's built up over the last 6 laps, but he's still holding it in that time gap that is quicker than the drivers in front of him. And we just wait for those splits to keep updating. 4.8 seconds, the last updated gap between King and Patterson. And as that time ticks down, it's just a matter of waiting to see. You know, when it starts to get down into that 1 second gap, that's when you know the party's happening. And squiggly is Darren King, and that's going to be those tenths undone. He squiggly again. Actually, on the exit coming down to Bruxelles now, and
that's
all
me.
Going to be
that's commentator's curse. That's me putting the spin on him there because he's catching up.
I mean, did you do it on purpose? Because Kieran is your son. You know, you can be 100% honest with me. It's a safe space.
I cannot tell a lie.
So inside, you were like, King can't catch him. He can't get. I'm kind of rooting for King here. I'm playing devil's advocate on the other side. I want to see the catch up. I can't be on the same team as you. That would just be unfair.
It's all good.
So King definitely looking a bit squiggly. Still reads 4.4 seconds, but I think when he goes through the final third sector time, that's going to update to reflect what has actually happened. Sort of in this last sector. So King, there we go, 5.3 seconds. So it's all been undone. He's lost a second in all of that. And with 20 minutes to go, that's the buffer that Patterson would have wanted.
Kieran's also coming up now to Franco Albertine in 14th for a lapping. So hopefully, I think there shouldn't be any problems there. Franco will probably or hopefully just move out the way nice and smoothly. It's just you don't want it to happen amongst a bunch of corners, and you have to then follow the driver through, like from the top hairpin down through sector 2. It's not really a good place to overtake, and it's also a struggle for a slower driver to get out the way. So let's just hopefully this doesn't hold him up at all. Obviously my priorities are with Kieran's as yours are with Darren's.
It's it's just one of those things, and like I've said before at the Monza stream, I know that you're heavily involved in Kieran's races, and it's the same sort of thing when any of the WRG drivers are here. I sort of have an inkling on the side that just wants me to have a good race for them, and or them to have a good race for the team. And Kieran here is doing a great job. He's had a great race, and he can feel that pressure coming in from King. As last lap times updated, it was a slower lap from King. He's broken that standard deviation. 220.1 coming through. Kieran still maintaining that consistency in the mid 219s. So if he can just sort of hold on for as long as possible, and King has any of those little hairy moments, it's not going to be easy. And again, just before No Name, the front end of that Ferrari not looking entirely happy with the turn-ins all the time. And Kieran just looked very confident and very stable out there. So again, lap times showing just that. Little roundouts of where things stand as we've now got down into the last 20 minutes. Of course, 18 minutes left on the clock. Pit window closes in 8 minutes. So only Peter's left to pit in 15th place. This is the final round of the Raceface Season 3 GT3 Championship, of course, taking place at Spa. The 6th round has been incredible, and that kind of sums up the entire season. So a big shout out to Resource Complete and Black Ribbon Sim for partnering up with Raceface to make this all possible, get some sponsorship going in the racing scene as well. So a big shout out to them. And of course, currently leading things away is the likes of Morgan McCaw for the ATK Academy boys. The number 19 currently sits in 3rd place in the championship. And with this finish here ahead of Darren King, will promote himself up to 2nd. So with 17 minutes to go, really is all for Morgan to lose at this stage. Darren King's got a lot of work to be able to rival him for 1st place. Kieran Patterson sits in 2nd place, obviously under pressure from Darren King in 3rd place, soon to be. Junior McCall in 4th place, that number 44 Lamborghini, with Paul Gaber in the GTR, that number 51 that we've seen featuring throughout the season. We love to see these cars that aren't picked up too often, and the GTR being just that. You hear it snap, crackle, and pop as it roars down the start-finish line as we switch down to Mark Antle for the Retro Sim Slipstream number 111 BMW, our front leading BM, and the second one here trailing down in 11th. Etienne Kleb, the number 78 for the Am2Play Rennsport team, currently sitting in 7th place, doing a good job to hold off the likes of Vogel, who has had a great race to try and make his way through the pack. Sits in 8th place. And the Resource Complete Team Tryhards team going to love it. Spammers is going to be putting that heat all on maximum as he chases down Vogel to try and take 8th place off of his hands. And then Brandon Kruger rounds out the top 10 in that number 87 Lamborghini. So Vogel and Spammers, an on-track battle that's definitely worth noting, as both of these drivers have fought their way through the pack. They've planned their pit stops out. Spammers with a great run through Radial, and this is just going to allow him to breeze past down the Kemmel Straight. Going to go alongside, going to be put onto the outside, coming into the corner. He's not quite across. He is going to be across now. He's late on the brakes, sets himself up for the inside line, takes a lot of the curb as well, and is going to be a bit loose. Will Vogel have a look on the inside? Spammers going to defend as hard as possible and keep the number 5 at bay. So Vogel will settle down into 5th. Spammers with a great little move coming through, gets himself up into 8th place. And what indeed is happening up at the front of the order, because I see a 4.2 second gap now between King and Patterson, and those consistent lap times again from King starting to come in a little bit quicker than what Patterson's doing, but not quite the 218s that he was pulling out in the earlier grab on what he was trying to get done.
Yeah, just going over the line now. 219.2, Kieran 219.8, they're all still in the 19s. However, Morgan had a bad one there at 221.5, so he's possibly getting a little tired, or his tires are going. Junior still coming around. Last lap was a 219.8, but Darren King now coming up to the back of Franco Albertine in the Audi, so he's got some traffic to deal with, and the time ticks on to 15 minutes. So Kieran's got the best part of 6, 7 laps to hang in there for the second place. And a little bit of inside information, I can tell you, George, he dislikes Spa, and he hasn't been very happy with the car at all. So this is a huge turnaround for him, and hopefully he can hang in there. Darren King's actually got a pile of traffic ahead of him. He's got 2 cars now.
He's got traffic ahead of him. Morgan seems to have either been caught up in traffic on that last lap or made a mistake. He did a 221.504 in his last lap. So that's now opened up that potential for Kieran to see this. I mean, he's only 6.4 seconds down the road. So if Morgan makes mistakes that lose him 2 seconds like that per lap, that's going to then play into the hands of Patterson. King, 3.9 seconds now behind the likes of Patterson, in the middle of all this traffic as well. So he's still trying to find some time. He's managed to get into that rhythm where he seems to be passing cars in the parts of the track that aren't leaving him to be compromised. And the other drivers on circuit seem to be doing a decent enough job getting out of the way to not be any nuisance to any of our cars on the circuit. But yeah, Patterson definitely going to notice that McCall's made a little mistake, see that timing split is updated in his favor. And he's going to be trying to see, Spammers, no, he's been given a drive-through penalty for track limits. And this is what we were saying at Spa. You don't want to get something like that. And that's an eternity that he's going to spend in the slow lane. And this is going to drop up the order entirely for him. Vogel, Kruger, and Grayling potentially all going to benefit off this. It's like almost a 40-second drive through the pit stop, long. Maybe a little bit longer.
And I mean, Spammers had just spent the best part of the last half an hour dicing with Vogel to get past him for 9th and 8th as we watched this happen. And it's probably Radian over the top of the hill. I'm watching a couple of cars, including Mr. King, going very wide over there. And, you can only do it so many times until the system gives you a drive-through. And it's unfortunately caught Jan Spammers out, and he's got to go through the pit lane.
Oh, I mean, that is disheartening to see for sure. And he was having a great little dice out. He had done the work to get past Vogel, and it's all been unraveled as he's going to have to serve that out. So King still trying to find some time onto Patterson. Patterson finds another 2/10 onto McCall as well after the last split update. So 12 minutes to go left of racing. It's plenty of time in terms of if everybody just stays in this position and everybody's just etching away 2/10, etc. It's not going to be enough for the order to change up. So really needing to have to find some real pace at the end or wait for those slip-ups to start to occur. And again, that last lap coming out from McCall, 2:20.025. So he's really struggling towards the closing sectors in this Lambo. So let's maybe watch it a little bit as well. He wants to make sure that he's not going to pick up any track limit warnings as well. So when he is running wide, you probably find that he's excessively lifting to ensure that he's not gaining an advantage where he can pick up those drive-throughs. And that's just going to then compromise the lap times.
Yeah, he's coming up now to the start-finish line. So we'll see what this lap produces. He's also coming up to the back. I think it's Vogel. I think.
No, that's not Vogel. That's a different car, I think. You can confirm.
I beg your pardon. You're right. I'll tell you who it is.
Oh, it's for Mansberg. It's for Mansberg. That's right. The team Try Hard. The Resource Complete Porsche, sorry, with their custom livery. That's
exactly. Morgan does a 2:19.8, so managed to pick the pace up there. So previous lap he did have a moment somewhere. Anyway, he has passed Van Mansberg, and he's on his way down to Eau Rouge.
So McCall 2:19.8, 2:19.4 for Patterson, and a 2:19.1 for King. So those lap times are definitely falling in here for King. But again, it's those tenths, and edge by edge, he's now under 4 seconds between them. We saw him get up to 4.5 seconds and then lose it earlier on, and it took him a good couple of minutes, in terms of lap time to catch that back up. So King really is on the edge here. 10 minutes left to go. With lap times here that they're doing at 2:19s, it's not many laps to try and get work done. Potentially 4 or 5 laps?
Yeah, something like that. Just looking on the YouTube channel, we've got Bruce Merriweather. He's one of our our buddies online. How's it, Bruce? Jan Alsa's there. Noor Hendricks also shouting out times, and everyone's gaining. Darren King has been following Bernard Peters now for almost 2 laps, and he hasn't got really close enough that would demand Bernard Peters, who is probably getting blue flags, but I don't think he's close enough yet. And Darren King is also running wide in the Ferrari around some of these corners. So I think everyone is seriously struggling with just under 10 minutes, 9.5 minutes to go. That gap currently at 3.5 seconds to Kieran. And Darren King kind of struggling, not really making up time on the Lamborghini of Bernard Peters. I can't see him getting to Kieran. I think Kieran's got this one in the bag, and I'm going to stick to that statement and hold on to my wooden table, and let's see what happens.
I think it's okay. I like it when you play a little bit dangerously and put predictions out with 8 minutes left to go in the race. So Kieran here, gonna have to do his dad proud, make sure that he secures the 2nd place on the podium. And it really is up to him to now make sure that happens. Van Mansberg gonna move out of the way of Kieran to get through. Darren King, has he managed to get some clean air? He has. And this gap is definitely heating up. I mean, he can almost see the cars in front of him. He hasn't got past Peters in terms of the traffic in front. But like you said, because Peters is, he went for that ultra late pit stop, that means that his tires are definitely going to be a lot more grippy than the guys that went in for the earlier stops. So, I think he's going to be loving the fact that he can kind of hold his pace up here, not have to move out of the way all the time. And, it's such a difficult situation. We'll see Van Mansberg move out of the way for the likes of Peters. As does Peters actually just go to unlap himself? I think he does. So
Van Mansberg, he's trying to drive away. Yep. Yeah,
Van Mansberg realizing it's not a battle between them to fight out. Peters still a lap down and having to go and unlap himself. So good work to just let him pass. Not for position, not my fight, not my circus. And right now it's Spammers that still has to serve that drive through. We see that on the totem. So he's probably coming up to his last lap, and he's going to be able to do it, and he's going to jump himself in. Okay, so he's jumped in. Spammers goes in, serves that drive through, and I say serves it. It will only be in like 6 million euros that he serves that penalty. He'll come out and he'll be in a different time zone to the rest of the drivers he was racing against. Spa an eternity, it really is, and everybody else on the circuit trying to hold that down. Morgan, 219.9 on his last lap, a 219.9 for Kieran as well. So first and second dead on with their pace at these closing phases of the race. Darren King in those low 219s, still trying to hunt down, and of course also going to be trying to just manage the car, make sure he doesn't pick up any of those drive-through penalties towards the closing phases either. I mean, again, not what he would want to have happen, but as things stand, Morgan McCall set to upset the championship standings and topple second from Darren King and get himself up there. King not wanting to let that happen too easily. We see him finding some time and pace, but again, it's not enough with 6 minutes to go for this to really work out. So where does Spammers actually end up after serving that drive-through penalty? He's cleared it, but he's still going to only be exiting the pits now. So, down to 10th place. Grayling, 11th place, in fact. Grayling's gone past him as well. So, a big loss coming out there as he was fighting with Vogel up for 8th place before that went down. Patterson, King, McCall, our front three, keeping things interesting for us as Patterson starts to eat into McCall's gap again. Time on the clock, if it was a little bit longer, we'd have a very interesting race coming on our hands. I don't think the tire sets left on these guys' cars would last that long, though. I think everybody's been pushing it to the limits, bar Peters, who got a nice little fresh set towards the late pit stop. But you can just see Peters even putting a little bit of pressure onto the back of Patterson here as well. So Patterson not gonna want to see any cars in his rearview mirror. Most certainly not a backmarker's car, as Darren King then as well going to be hopefully trying to use whatever pressure Peters is putting on to his advantage. Look at the gap. Look at Alan. Sub 2 seconds, 5 minutes to go. Sub 5 minutes. Just a sub 5 minutes. 2 seconds gap. King and Patterson. It's not going to change up the order for the championship. I mean, King needs to take McCall, but pride on the line here. Patterson does not want to let King get by.
No, yeah.
I can feel your stress through your voice as we commentate
I saw
together.
King had a little tank slapper there. Yeah, you can feel it. It's there. I mean, I'm watching King purposely all the way around here.
How many of your fingers and toes are crossed over one another?
At the moment, just one.
Okay, just holding on to one, and Patterson is holding on to it. 4:20 on the clock, and it really is going to be down to the last couple of laps from these drivers to settle up where they're going to finish out. Morgan doing a great job. We saw him looking a little bit inconsistent for a portion towards the end of the race there, but he's managed to get it back under control. Those lap times are back to dialed in. The 2:19.6 coming out from
Peters
him.
has just moved over.
Peters has moved out of the way, and that has allowed King to now start the charge onto Patterson. 1.7 seconds is the gap. 3 minutes 45 on the clock, and the fight down to the line will begin. We see both of our cars in this story in shot as they make their way down towards Eau Rouge and Radio, and this is where it all has to count. Nice and clean through for Patterson, nice and clean through for Darren King, and onto the Kemmel straight now they go. What a fight out it has been, and what a fight out it will be in the final round here for the season. King versus Patterson to see who will take that second place on the podium, or for Patterson to lose at this point. He's had such a great drive. The 1-2-3 Porsche is going to start to feel the heat. Just look at it being thrown in from Darren King behind.
Yeah, they're just approaching Glashagen, who just has a little bit of a very leery moment through the hairpin. He's staying out of the way, so both drivers have got past. Good driving there. Time down to just under 3 minutes. So it's the best part of 2 laps to go. It was a 2:19.6 for Morgan last lap, 2:19.6 for Kieran, and 2:18.8 for Darren. So he's certainly trying. You can see he's trying. It's been an awesome drive back. It's been part of the narrative that we've wanted to see, George. And he's done exceptionally well considering who's been on the track with him.
It's been such a great Pro Series for all our drivers here in the season, and for me, exactly. I would love to, cast all the different racing tiers that Raceface has to offer, but unfortunately, that's just not available to us. They all happen at the same time. So, with the new seasons coming up, I'm sure we'll see some new faces coming up into the Pro Division. I'm excited to see those, but for now, it has been the old faces and the guard of the round table in the Pro Series. And Patterson and King, final lap call coming down. Patterson and King, what is the updated time between them now? It's less than a second. It is 9/10 between Patterson and King. McCall on that final lap, and this is all to play for now. Patterson just has to hold on. It's a hard track to make a move on at Spa. It's one thing to catch a car, it's another to overtake it, and Kieran will know this. King can close down as much as he wants. He's going to then have to deal with the defense from Patterson when that happens down, and I think this is where they're going to have to really see if they're going to be able to do it, and it's a couple of car lengths down from Darren King. He's going to have the slipstream advantage coming down into the Kemmel straight, but it's a far way down before he actually manages to utilize it, but he will close down into the chicane as once again we will just call this as it is. This has been a phenomenal race. Patterson and King now absolute champions out on track, and good clean racing so far, and just look how close he gets into Braxels, trying to just hold him, trying to force Kieran into making one of these mistakes, and it's not just happening just yet. Through No Name they go, both them running a little bit wider out, and no gain, no foul. Patterson still holds off.
Yeah, into sector 2 now, almost halfway around the track. It's the last technical section, and the Porsche is quite good through this section. It's a matter of, as you say, it's all very well catching up to the driver ahead, but to pass, that's another story. There is, King runs very wide there, and that slowed him down. there really is only one more opportunity from this point of the track, and that's the bus stop chicane for a very late send it. But I think that gap has gone from 2 tenths up to 7 tenths. I think that was Darren's last chance, and Kieran's kind of done exceptionally well. I'm sure he's looking, but he's also not looking in the mirrors. He's got to basically just nail this last braking point. And as they get into it, Darren's right under the back of the Porsche.
So Morgan's going to take the race victory. We're going to jump back to Kieran coming through bus stop.
Good.
He's going to hold off King. So Patterson takes second place. Darren King in third. And what a phenomenal race down to the line between those two drivers there. Junior McCall just down the road for the ATK Academy, the number 44 Lamborghini. He's going to cross the line in a solid fourth place. Paul Gaber from Team Tryhard Racing, sponsored by Resource Complete, of course, in that GTR, the number 51, going to cross the line after the bus stop chicane in fifth place. Nothing else too close between them on the table. Mark Ansel in the first finishing BMW. He's still got Blanchimont to get himself through as well as bus stop. But he will be happy with a sixth place finish here today, barring not running out of fuel before the line. It sounds like that engine is still revving up and happy and crackling. So snap, crackle, and pop. He will go over the line for sixth place. Etienne Kleb for AMP to play. He's got Vogel right behind him, but it's not enough into the final bus stop chicane. Seventh place for Kleb and the AMP to play Rensport team. Francis Vogel for Team Tryhard will take home eighth place. Brandon Kruger in the Leipart. I don't think that's the right way to say it in the actual livery name. Leipart. Motorsport number 87.
Yep.
I was trying to be Afrikaans and it wasn't Afrikaans. I was trying to show everybody my bilingual skills. They don't exist. 10th place for Janus Greiling. There's an Afrikaans name for me to absolutely nail in the stream. The number 16 will wrap up the top 10. Spammers, Berger, Grabler, and Albertine goes out down to 13th place. And really, Alan, that wraps up the racing from us today. I'll be able to take us back over to my my webcam view, get my glasses back on my head. That was intense. I'm sweating.
Yeah, me too.
Incredible race.
Kieran actually sitting here in the interview room. I don't know if you want to have a little chat with him, George.
We can. Just before we have a little chat with the guys, I'll let you handle some chats to the guys. I just want to wrap up the fact that Jordan Sherritt was our GT3 champion. So he's won himself a set of Sparko race gloves, courtesy of Black Ribbon Simulations. And of course, Morgan McCall, with that win there, he gets himself up from third to second and knocks Darren King down to finishing third in the GT3 championship. So that wraps up our top three. Alan, you're welcome to interview your son. I'm keen to hear it here. Let me see if we've still got his car in the server. We do. Let me just pull that up on the track.
Oh, good.
There we go. Oh, it's such a bad camera angle. There we go. We're all good to go. Okay.
Junior.
Yes, senior.
That was an excellent drive. You did us proud. You did yourself proud for once. You've had a clean run from the beginning to the end, and it's paid off. How was your race there?
On a nice edge from the get-go.
Yeah.
My hamstring pulled tight, my calf pulled tight, everything was on edge, but managed to finally get around the track without any drama, so happy with that.
Excellent. So it seems like you did get a good setup working on the Porsche. Your pit stop strategy, you kind of ran a bit long in comparison to everyone else. Was that on purpose, or were you looking for space on the track?
I think the idea was that the Porsche on Spa, it is quite snappy and it felt a bit better with a heavier load. So I thought I would rather overload the car with extra fuel and see how it progressed. Luckily or thankfully, it actually managed to hold its tires quite nicely and it didn't snap too badly. So it was actually quite a nice strategy and I was quite happy with it.
Excellent. And turn one, Eau Rouge Radiant over the top. You were going full guns, but did you see what was going on in your mirrors?
No, I saw I'm not too sure who it was that got a bit of contact there. I think it might have been Peters in the orange Lambo or something, but he spun and someone went wide. I think it might have been Jason Webb, and I just held on for dear life and just prayed that no one hit me. So, yeah, thankfully I got through, but I didn't see the drama, no.
Okay, all good. So you stayed clear of that. And this, your last 10 minutes, I mean, you saw the Ferrari coming. You knew he was coming. You were watching the times. What was your strategy? Just a matter of nail your apexes, perfect racing lines. I mean, he was always going to struggle to get past you, but he was really right there at the end.
Yeah, I was watching the times as it goes. I mean, the first sector he was catching, or up to Pouillon, he was at least half a second every lap that he was catching me. So I knew it was always going to come. I mean, the Porsche and top speed isn't fully there, especially for this track running high downforce. But yeah, it was interesting catching Morgan, and I just thought that he might, that Darking might kill his tires, but clearly he didn't. So no, he drove really well.
Well, it was a solid result for you. You've had some serious dramas throughout the season, but this was definitely your best result and a great result for PWSR. George, you want to have any words here at the end?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to congratulate you, Kieran. I think it was a good drive. Good to see you having a good result on the circuit. We don't have any other drivers in here for a drive interview, so we'll close things out from here. A massive thank you again extended over to Alan Patterson for joining me here in the comms box. It was great fun to have him here, and as always, does a sterling job in joining me with it. So big thanks to Alan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And a big thanks out to Black Ribbon Simulations once again. Resource complete. That is a wrap for the Raceface Season 3 GT3 season, and our champion Jordan Sherritt will be crowned. And in the Discord, guys, keep your eyes peeled for the announcements for Season 4. I have been told the dates, but I'm terrible with remembering things, so they will all be in the Discord. They'll be announced. They'll be on Twitter. Registrations will be there. I'm looking forward to seeing some new faces. Once again, thank you to all our beautiful viewers. You guys have made this great fun. We've loved all the comments. We've loved seeing everybody supporting each other. And yeah, we'll see you guys for Season 4. I think that's the next time I'll see you guys. Cheers, Alan.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye.